Hi, this is the help video for Access Chapter 10, the the prepare case. And we're at step 11, and this is going to be kind of a long movie because I really want to do 11 through the end because everything's kind of tied together. So I want to go through the whole process in one movie. So we're going to start at step 11 where we're talking about summary functions within the report wizard. And one of the things that I had said in the other movie is that I always begin with the report wizard just because it does so many things for you, and then you can alter it and tweak it and make it exactly what you want to be. So summary functions are helpful in the wizard, but sometimes they cannot complete the calculation that you want or the way that you want. So when the summary function of sum was chosen in the report wizard for fee and lesson count in this report summary lessons fee report, they added the totals but did not take into account the number of lessons at each different fee amount. So we're going to modify that so that it is actually correct. So we're going to begin by opening up this report summary lessons fee in design view. Right, so I'm just going to look at it and show you. Right, so here we have lesson count and fee and grand totals. Okay, so I'm going to be in design view in the employee name footer. Right, so employee name is a grouping. So we're grouping by this name. So we have an employee name header section and an employee name footer section. So we want to select the control that says sum of fee, and we're going to type that to include the fee times the lesson count. So what I'm going to do is go to my property sheet in my data, and the control source for this, I'm just going to right click and zoom so it can be a little bit, you can see it a little bit better. So I am going to alter this inside the parentheses. I'm going to include that fees are multiplied by the lesson count, right? So lesson count is a named object, and that's what I'm going to use. So we're going to go ahead and do OK. And then in the report footer section, we're going to do the same thing, because remember, this one will reset when the employee name changes. This report footer will accumulate for all records. So it's really the same formula. It's just the placement in the section that makes it behave differently. So we're going to do lesson count, and there we go. So we're going to do the same thing for the sum of, let's see, lesson count. Click the sum label in the employee name footer and replace the name. So here's the caption. So this is the label. I opened up my properties, and I'm going to change the caption to employee summary. Okay, switch to layout view and take a look. All right, so this value is different, right? Because before it was just adding 200 plus 150 to give us 350, but now it's saying 150 times 3 plus 200 times 1 to get the value. Much nicer. And then this is doing the same thing, right? Okay, scroll down to Johnny Schilling employee summary. John Schillings. Drag the left edge of the box so we can see it. And same thing with the grand total. All we're doing, why did we go to John's record? Because he has the largest amount. So we just scrolled to find and verify that all my numbers and all my characters are showing, and we could see that they weren't. So we just expanded those. So we're done with step 11. I'm going to go ahead and save this, and let's go to number 12. A report created from a parameter query will work just like a parameter query. When you open the report, you will be prompted for values to search for. Okay, remember that's how we made queries much more global, much more usable, is that instead of putting specific criteria in the criteria, like a specific date, we put it as a parameter, and then every time you run it, you put in your date range that you want. Same thing can happen with the report. So the report wizard, okay, so I think I'm going to use the report wizard to create a report that I'm going to go ahead and close out of this summary lessons, and we're going to create this new membership renewals report. So we're going to create a wizard to list all records with a renewal date between a start date and an end date entered as a parameter. Include all fields for, right? Okay, so let's go ahead and start that. Okay, so before we actually begin the wizard, we're building this off of this query here, right? So what we want to do is take a look at that query so we can see what's going on. And you can see right here is the parameter. So we can build this report off of the query. The report becomes a parameter query because, I'm sorry, a parameter report because it's built on this query that has a parameter built in. So let's go ahead and create report wizard. We're going to pick this query member renewal, and we're going to pull everything over. We're going to do next. We're not going to add any grouping levels. We're going to, in the first sort, we're going to do date renewal, ascending. Next, we're going to do tabular and landscape. Let me make sure. Default layout, select landscape. Next, this is going to be called RPT member renewals, and finish. And then it's trying to go to the print preview, and it's asking for a date. Hey, what's the date range? So we're going to put 5/1/2023 and 7/1/2023. And there we go. We get our report based upon that parameter. But see, the person running it has no clue that really that is being asked because of the underlying query. So we can save that and close that. And we're done with 12. All right, so number 13, an unbound form can be helpful as an input tool for a parameter report. Rather than opening the report and have the parameter window open one by one, which is what we just saw, we would build a form that's going to ask for the information and then feed it to the information to the necessary to the underlying query. Okay, so what are we going to do here? So even though this chapter is about reports, we're going to switch gears a little bit and look at a blank form, right? So we're going to create a blank form, which means it's not tied to any underlying table or query, and it's really just used to gather information. So we're going to create, and then in forms, more forms, oops, sorry, right here's blank form, and there we go. So now we have this blank unbound form, right? So let's go ahead, and I'm going to switch to design. So insert a title. So we're going to pick title. and it's going to be renewal date form. Insert a label in the top left corner of the detail. So we're going to come down to the detail, and we're going to insert a label in the top left corner. So we're going to do label. So we're going to put a label here, and we'll just pop it in right here for now. And it's going to be enter dates for renewal queries and reports. Change the font to red and the size to 14. Okay, so we're going to select all of this and format. Let's see, we want it to be 14 and red. And we're going to expand that, and that looks good. So we're going to save this form as FRM member renewals, and we're on our way to getting this done. So let's go ahead. 13's done. 14. Insert a text box control. So a text box control below to enter the dates. So let's do this. So we're going to do text box, and then we're going to put it about a little after the 1 here, somewhere around here. It's fine. We're going to fix it all up later. And so let's see, type start date. So I'm going to bring my properties up. Caption is going to be start date. Select the text box, and we're going to format it to short date. And it's going to be called, the name of it is TXT start date. All right, so then I'll make this, and I'm just going to do that. We'll do select, just because it's driving me a little crazy. Align left. Okay. And then let's do another one. So we're going to do design, text box, click. This one, text is going to be captioned end space date. Then the text box itself, I forgot something up here. We'll have to go back. Okay, so this is, the name of this is TXT end date, and the default, so if we go to data, default value is equal date left right parentheses, so that sets the current date. Let's go back up to this first one because I neglected that. So default value is equal date left right parentheses. So both of those are going to be loaded with the current date. And then I'm just kind of just making these a little bit better. Okay. Merge the row above the start date text. Split the cells containing the start date and end date boxes horizontally. Okay, so what we're going to do is click in this blank space above, right? And then we're going to arrange and find the rows and columns. Okay, for some reason mine were not stacking, so I'm going to have to back up a little bit and stack these into a table. So I have everything selected. It's going to look funky for a minute. And then on arrange, I'm going to pick stacked. Okay. And then we're going to fix this up a little bit. So what do we want to do? We need to get this, these split and then these merged. So let's go ahead and let's see. Split cells containing horizontally. Okay, so what you want to end up with is this. So this is a table, and we have split out, so the first row only has the one column, but the second row has the start date and the end date in one column and the unbound control in another. Okay, that's what this is doing. So we're going to go ahead and move on to 15. All right, the form you created will provide controls to enter the parameter values to the query member renewals. So we need to update the query to get the values from the form. So I'm going to go ahead and save this. Okay, so we have to change this query. So I'm going to make sure I have this form saved and open this query member renewals in design view, and let's see what we need to do. Delete the criteria here because we're going to get that information from the form. So what we're going to do instead is we're going to reference, okay, so we have the query up. We have removed the criteria under date renewal. And we're going to build the reference to the start date and end date using a between. So I'm just going to go ahead and zoom and just type. Actually, I changed my mind. I am going to use the builder. So we're going to do right click, build. So we're going to say between, and then we need to okay, so I typed the word between, and then I'm going to click forms, all forms, member renewal, and then here, once again, remember I said this is why we name things meaningfully. Between text start date and text end date. And by using the expression builder, I didn't have to do all of this. So, all right, that should work. Okay, so I'm going to save this query. So now once I change this, though, guys, you have to remember you can no longer run this query on its own. You have to get to this query through the form. Once you change that, this cannot stand alone anymore. All right, I'm going to close that out. We're done with 15. All right, 16. When reports are built for parameter, running reports yield differences based on the parameter. Okay. Open member renewal in design view. Member renewals, report member renewals in design view. And drag the bottom edge of the report header to the 1-inch mark. Once again, if you don't want to play that game of dragging, you can just come here to look at oh, I'm on the report. I need to be on that report header section, and there's the height, so 1 inch. So I got the mark, right? But remember, look, I was on report I was bad. I didn't look that I had the right section selected. Then there's the height. Okay. Add a text box below the title of the report. Okay, so we're going to do that. So what our goal is here is to put that date range in here so it's actually on. So we need to put the control, and it's a text box. And we're going to go about 1.5 here. And drag the control so the left edge of the label is at the 1/2 inch. So I'm just going to drag that to about the 1/2 inch. Now they're on different levels, but that's all right. Change the text for the label. So we're going to go to caption, and we're going to call it start date. And then I just got to size that so I can see it. Change the control source, right? So control source to the text box from the renewal form. So we're going to go through this same process. Open up, all forms, form member, start date. Then we're going to do that same thing for the end date. I'm going to put that about 3. No, let's see, put this on about 4 here. So then the label for, the caption for the label is going to be end date. We're going to make sure it is wide enough. Then we're going to change the source for our unbound text box. We're going to do the same thing. Open up the database, open up the form, open up all forms, grab that form member, and we're going to do end date. So now what's going to happen is when this report prints, you're going to actually see the date range on there. You're not going to have to look and try and guess. And that makes this report change every time we run it. So we're going to align these. So let's do I'll arrange, align, top, and then I'm going to click these 2 labels. I'm going to make them the same size. I'm going to make them to narrowest. And then I'm going to select them all, and I'm going to say space equal vertical. No, equal horizontal. That did not work. Let's try this again. Space. All right, let's do this. Let's bring this a little closer. And let's save it. Left edge of the label control is at 3. Okay, I moved it a little too far, so we're just going to move that a little bit back. And once again, you could go into our property format, left 3. And then this one was supposed to be 1/2 inch. So we're good. So left and that, they're on the same line. We can save. Excuse me. So 16 is done. And we're going to save this and close the report. All right, to use the form you created, you need an easy way to run the report from the form. So we're going to put some buttons on there, right? That's how you have actions, is you have a click. You click a button. So let's go ahead and open up this form member renewal, right? And so this is coming back from like last week, the stuff we did there. So we're going to put some buttons down here. First of all, I'm going to move this up a little bit. I think about there. So let's see where I want that. I want that to be about 1/4 of an inch. So let's just make sure left. I'm going to do 0.25, and top I'm going to do 0.25. Yeah, that's what I want. I want 1/4 of an inch to the left and right. Okay, so now we're going to start putting some buttons in here in the command button wizard. So we got to get a button and adjust this as 2%. Okay, my detail section is fine. We'll close it up after I'm done. Insert a button below the end date, and in the wizard we're going to, what are we doing for this first button? Display the view renewals and name the button query renewals. Okay. So that's a query, right? And remember we did that down in miscellaneous. Run query. Next. The query that we're going to run is query member renewal. That's what we were working on. And then the text is view renewals. Next. And it's CMDQRY renewals. So that's telling you this command button is running the query renewals. Cool. All right, so then insert another button to the right. So button, right. And on this one, to open a report, right? So open RPT. So report operation, open report. It's report member renewals. Next. And then we're going to say view renewals report. Did I spell that right? RENEWALS. It looks weird, but I'm right. Okay. And this is going to be CMD RPT renewals. Good. Finish. Okay. We're done with that. I'm going to save that. All right. I'm not done with this. We're going to come back to this. But I'm going to leave. So I'm going to leave this open. Eventually, we're going to close this up, but right now I'm going to leave it. So I'm going to close out of that renewal report using the report wizard. Create a report. Okay, create report wizard. Include all of these fields from table member. So table member, and we want date renewed, date joined, first name, last name, next, no grouping levels, sort ascending by date renewal, next, accept the defaults, next, we're going to name this RPT expired memberships, finish, close preview, and we're going to change the name here to expired memberships and save it. All right, that looks good. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to build conditional formatting on the let's see, conditional formatting. Select the renewal date, conditionally format. So I'm going to come over here to layout, format, and then I have renewal date selected, conditional formatting. We're going to do a new rule, field value that are on or before the current date. So less than or equal to the current date. So we're going to do less than or equal to, and what do we know has the system date, date with the open and close parentheses. So if the field value of renewal date is less than or equal to today, we want, what are we going to do? Current date is red. So okay, okay, and then you see the ones that are before today are in red. We're going to save and close. So we're done with 19. 20. Access has a built-in label format for many of the leading label makers. This wizard allows you to pick the correct format. You can create labels based on data in tables or queries. So we're going to go back to that form, member renewals. So we're going to open it, and we're going to type 1/1/2023 for the start, and then 3/1/2023, and view renewals. Okay, so this form is kind of like the master. You put those dates in, and then you're going to be able to look at the query. I'm going to close that query. I could view the report. The report's viewed, and look. Oh, I think we need to change that. It's got the start end date, and there's the data in a nice format. Okay, so it's all driven from this. So let's just switch this to design view, but we're going to create a label report. So a label report is just a little bit different. So we're going to create, and then in this report, we're going to say labels. Oops. Sorry. We need to have the, hold on a second. Okay, I need to back up a minute. I need to leave this form open. So I am going to switch to data sheet view, and the dates are there. So I'm just going to leave that open, and then so these dates are in memory when we go to create this. Create labels. Okay, so my bad. We need to have both the form member renewal and the query. We have to have run the query. Okay, now we can do a label. Create labels. Close this up. Create labels. Yay, now it works. Okay, so we want to do Avery as the manufacturer. C216 product. Okay. We want Calibri. And we want 11 point normal. Okay, next we want first name, space, last name. Then we need to go to the next line, and we're going to do, so I'm going to hit enter. We're going to do address, enter, city, comma, space, state, space, zip code. So the first line of our label will be first name and last name, address, city, state, zip on the third. Okay, so we're going to do next. And then how are we going to sort it? Sort the labels by zip code. So, all right, next. And then RPT labels. Finish. And there's our labels, which match the list that we queried, which is from this range that we put in there. Okay, so we can save that, and we can close it, and we can close it, and we're on to step 21. With the form renewal open, switch to design view. We're going to add a button below the view renewals that will preview the report labels. Okay, so we're going to do on design a button. I'm going to put the button here. We know we want to do some kind of report. So we want to run a report. So we're going to preview the report. The report is going to be labels, and the text is going to be print mailing labels. And the reason we usually do labels as a preview, because usually you want to be able to put your labels in, so you preview it, and from your preview window you can print it. But if you just do print, it's going to shoot out and you may not have your labels loaded into the printer. So it's kind of a technique that most people use, is they preview it, then they actually print it. All right, so add a button below that will close the so we did print. Oh, I didn't do, we got to do a print one here. See, I probably wouldn't take the time to do a print one, but so we're going to do report operations, print report, labels, next. It's going to be print mailing labels, next, CMD print labels. Yeah, okay. All right, I messed up. So this should be preview. So let's change this to preview, mailing labels, and then we're going to change this name to preview labels. And this one is going to be CMD print labels, and the caption is print mailing labels. So we have two. One is preview and one is print. Then we're going to do one last button, and that's to close. So we're going to put that down here. It is form, close a form, next, close form is fine, and this is CMD close form, finish. We're going to align all of these. So here's what I usually do, is I usually size them to widest, and then I take this. So let's see, I move everything. So this is where I want to align it. So I make sure everything in that column is to the right of it. Align left, and then I'm just going to pull these over. I'm going to align left, and then I'm going to go this way, align top, and then I select all of them, and I do equal vertical and equal horizontal. So they kind of look okay. I might want to tighten them up a little bit. So decrease horizontal. Oops, wrong one. That's all right. That looked okay. Decrease vertical. So I could do that a couple times. Then just bring this up. We don't need any form footer. We don't need that. That looks great. We're going to save that. Let's just take a look at it. Perfect. I don't want to print. Close. Get out of that. The one thing that I think we need to do back here on this report renewals is this name is supposed to be membership renewal. So we'll get rid of that RPT, and we're going to say membership renewal. Somewhere along the way I must have missed that. So let's save that, and then I believe we're all done. So go ahead and close this out. This is a long video, sorry guys, but I really felt like all of that belonged together. All right, thank you. Good luck.